you. Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. This is an adjudicatory hearing before the Massachusetts Gaming Commission relative to the renewal of a gaming beverage license issued to Plainridge Park Casino. My name is Jordan Maynard, and I am serving as interim chair of the commission. I am joined today by my colleagues, Commissioners Eileen O'Brien, Brad Hill, and Akeisha Skinner. The entire commission will preside over the hearing and the decision on this matter. This hearing is convened pursuant to 205 CMR 101.01, paragraph 2, subsection J, and will be conducted in accordance with 205 CMR 101.01, the informal fair hearing rules outlined in 801 CMR 1.02, and Chapter 30A of the General Laws. I would also like to notify everyone that this proceeding is being recorded. A notice of hearing dated May 1st, 2024 was issued in this matter to the parties. Therein, it identifies the issues that this hearing is intended to address. The commission has indicated that it will specifically be considering the issues discussed in the gaming beverage license application, pursuant to its authority under General Law 23K, Section 26, but also what is contemplated in 205 CMR 136.04, subsection 1, relative to the gaming beverage license application, its form, and its renewal. To that end, the cited regulation sets out the specific considerations of the commission in deciding in this matter. They include the following: whether the application meets all the requirements of 205 CMR 136.00 and General Law Chapter 23K, Section 26, and contains at least the following information: the gaming licensee name and contact information, proof of insurance in accordance with 205 CMR 136.07, subsection 1, a licensed area application form as specified in 205 CMR 136.04, subsection 2, for each area of the gaming establishment in which the gaming licensee seeks to sell or distribute alcoholic beverages, and finally, a description of the parts of the premises of the gaming establishment in which the consumption of the alcoholic beverages will not be allowed for the purposes of ensuring the integrity of gaming, the public health, welfare, or safety, or other reason. And number 2, whether issuance of the license would in some way compromise the integrity of the gaming and or public health, welfare, or safety, as articulated in 205 CMR 136.03, subsection 4. There are 2 parties before us today. I will ask that Mr. Grunsel and Ms. O'Brien each please identify yourself and your teams and advise the commission as to whom you represent as applicable. Let's start with Ms. O'Brien.
Thank you, Chair. I am Carolyn O'Brien, and I am the Chief of the Licensing Division. I have here with me David McKay, the Licensing Division Manager. We also have Eric Cantel, the Casino Regulatory Manager for PPC, as well as Burke Kane, the Gaming Agents Division Chief.
Thank you. I will now turn to Mr. Groundsel.
Good afternoon. My name is North Groundsel. I'm the General Manager here at Plainridge Park Casino, and I am joined today by Matt Carey, who is our Director of Food and Beverage, and Lisa McKinney, who is our Compliance Manager at Property.
Thank you both, and thank you all. At the conclusion of my opening comments, this proceeding will commence with opening remarks. Each party will be offered an opportunity to make a statement, though it is not required. After opening statements, we will move to the presentation of the evidence in this matter. The IEB will be called upon to present its findings and recommendation to the Commission, pursuant to 205 CMR 136.03, subsection 3. Any commissioner may ask a question of anyone presenting information at any point during or following the presentation. At the conclusion of the IEB's presentation, the licensee will be afforded an opportunity to ask questions of any individual who presented information on behalf of the IEB relative to any matter addressed in the application, memo, or to which they spoke. At the conclusion of the IEB's presentation, the licensee will be given the same opportunity to make a presentation. They may call any witness and present any other evidence they desire. As before, any commissioner may ask any question of any witness or presenter at any time during or after any presentation. And the IEB may ask any clarifying questions of any presenter at the conclusion of the PPC presentation, respectively. Either party may raise any objection it desires at any time. However, the basis for all objections must be clearly stated. Finally, at the conclusion of the presentations of all the evidence, the IEB and the licensee will be provided an opportunity to make closing statements, remarks, summing up their view of the evidence. Before we begin, I understand that there are a number of exhibits for consideration at this hearing that have been exchanged by the parties in advance. Those exhibits are as follows. Exhibit 1, which is the memo drafted by the IEB and Licensing Division to the Commission discussing the gaming beverage application, their findings, and recommendation dated June 4th, 2024. Exhibit 2 will be the gaming beverage license renewal application submitted by the licensee dated April 16th, 2024. Are there any objections to these exhibits being marked and entered into evidence?
None.
There are none.
Thank you both. These exhibits shall be admitted into evidence. For purposes of ensuring a clean record, I ask that the parties, when possible, please refer to the aforementioned exhibits by letter when referring to any of these documents. If either party would like to have any additional documents entered into evidence during the course of the hearing, please ensure that they are properly introduced and marked for the record. The Commission anticipates that its inquiry at the proceeding will be related to the matters addressed in the gaming beverage license renewal application and contained in the notice of hearing. In the event that a line of questioning conducted by the Commission moves into an area that has not been included in the report or notice, but that is material to the final determination of this matter, any party may request a recess in the proceeding in order to review the issue. The Commission will deliberate privately and make a final decision at the conclusion of the evidentiary portion of the hearing. The decision will be issued as promptly as possible. If at any point during the Commission's deliberations, it determines that further testimonial or documentary evidence is desirable, it reserves the right to ask the appropriate party to provide such evidence prior to a final decision being made. We will now swear all the witnesses in. All right, do we have counsel here representing? All right.
I was going to say good afternoon, Chair, on behalf of the IEB, Kathleen Kramer.
All right. Anyone for the licensee?
We do not.
Okay. Are the individuals you anticipate presenting testimony in this matter present on this call?
Yes.
I'll ask North. I'll ask Kathleen.
Yes.
If there is anyone who is not present who will later testify, it will be up to you to alert the Commission that they have yet to be placed under oath. Anyone who is testifying at this proceeding, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will provide before the Commission at this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Seeing affirmative across the board, thank you all, and you've responded in the affirmative. A proceeding of this nature necessarily requires the consideration of a wide variety of information that takes several forms In this case, some of the information and documentation may include commercially sensitive information. The public discussion of such information may place an entity at a competitive disadvantage if such information were to be publicly discussed. For the Commission to be able to execute its legal obligations effectively and diligently prior to making a final finding, it must be at liberty to fully inquire relative to any of these sensitive matters without compromising the individuals or entities involved. To do otherwise would be, at a minimum, unfair and potentially unlawful. Accordingly, my colleagues and I may elect to exercise the discretion afforded in accordance with 205 CMR 101.01, paragraph 7, to close this proceeding to the public to fully address certain matters. Before we begin, it's my understanding that a pre-hearing conference was conducted on May 16, 2024, with representatives of the applicant, the IEB, and our Deputy General Counsel, at which procedural and evidentiary issues were discussed. Do either of the parties have any preliminary issues or objections they would like to raise at this time?
We have none.
We have none.
With that, I will ask the representatives from PPC to please proceed with any opening remarks they would like to make.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We appreciate the opportunity to come today in front of the commission to review our license application for renewal of alcohol service at the property. I believe that the evidence that you will see today will show that we have been a responsible licensee in this area, and that we have a robust system of internal controls and training for our team members to make sure that alcohol is served here responsibly. With that, we are ready to hear opening statements, obviously, from the other side.
Thank you. We will now turn to Ms. O'Brien and ask that you make any introductory remarks you would like to make, and then move directly into the presentation by the IEB and licensing.
Thank you. So we don't have any particular remarks. We do want to acknowledge Lisa Bruckner, who was very helpful in preparing the materials today. But other than that, I'm happy to turn it over to Licensing Manager Dave McKay.
Good afternoon, Interim Chair and Commissioners. I also do not have a formal opening statement per se, but just, to kind of echo Kara, just wanted to, note that a lot of work both on the MGC and PPC side, went into this renewal process. So I just wanted to mention that in honor of both MGC and PPC staff, and appreciate being here today.
Anything further from your team, Kara?
Nope, we're ready. I think we're ready to go.
All right. Do any commissioners, based on that, have any questions for Ms. O'Brien or other members of the IEB relative to the presentation?
I think I was going to chime in and say, I think at this point we can turn it over to Dave for the presentation on behalf of the IEB, if that works for the commissioners.
That works for me.
Great.
Commissioners?
Turn it over to you, Dave.
All right. Thank you very much. So Chapter 23K in our alcohol regulations authorize the Commission to grant a beverage license for the sale and distribution of alcohol to be consumed on the premise of the gaming establishment. Plain Ridge Park Casino has submitted an application to the Division of Licensing for the renewal of its beverage license. The Division of Licensing requested some additional clarifications as part of the review, and PPC responded thoroughly and timely and has submitted a complete application packet. I'd also like to note PPC has submitted the $15,000 fee for its renewal application. The application consisted of a renewal application as well as an application for each licensed area, of which there are 10. Those can be found, I believe it was letter B in your packet materials. excuse me, the licensed area is a defined term within the regulations. It refers to where the sale, distribution, or storage of alcoholic beverages to be consumed on the premise of the gaming establishment is permitted under the license approved by the commission. The beverage license itself is issued to Plainridge Park Casino as the licensee. Excuse me. The 10 licensed areas are all owned and operated by Plainridge Park Casino. As such, there are no jointly responsible parties. One individual is designated as the manager for the overall beverage license, and that individual for Plainridge Park Casino is Matt Carey, Food and Beverages Director, who is present today. Mr. Carey is properly licensed by the commission and in good standing. Additionally, the IEB also confirms that Mr. Carey held a valid and current certification from a recognized alcoholic beverage server training program. I myself have confirmed with Mr. Carey that he is familiar with and educated on the alcoholic regulations that apply to the entire property. Further, the licensee, as required, also submitted proof of insurance of an amount that exceeds the regulatory minimum set forth by our regulations. This is achieved through their general liability policy, and the policy's full excess tower also covers their liquor liability. Next, I just wanted to note PPC is approaching the end of another 3-year term history of compliance with the alcoholic regulations. And at this time, I'm going to be turning it back to Kathleen to summarize the history of compliance matters reviewed by the IEB over the term of its most recent renewal license.
Thanks, Dave. Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. I'll be providing a high-level overview of the non-compliance that the IEB has addressed over the last 3 years at PPC. As the Commission well knows, the IEB has a 24/7 presence at the property, both through the gaming agents and the GEU. Over the past 3 years, the IEB has reviewed instances of possible alcohol over service, instances of possible intoxicated patrons, instances of unsecured alcohol, and instances of employees drinking on the job. Any instances of non-compliance are addressed in accordance with our policies and procedures. And as the Commission knows, the IEB has different levels to address non-compliance. It starts with a notice of non-compliance form, also known as an NCF, which are issued by the gaming agents. It can then escalate to a notice of non-compliance, or an NONC, from the Chief Enforcement Counsel's office, and then finally a civil administrative penalty. To date, the IEB has issued 1 NCF to PPC for an intoxicated patron during the review period. In terms of the corrective actions that were set out in that particular NCF, it included reviewing intoxication rate factors during pre-shift meetings for staff and providing documentation that team members were trained on responsible alcohol service. The entity also took steps to address the non-compliance, including showing that disciplinary action was taken against the employee who was not compliant with the policies. I would also note that during the review period, the IEB issued 1 NCF related to an underage who had accessed the casino floor during and appeared to be intoxicated, but the review concluded that the underage did not consume any alcoholic beverages at PPC. To address matters that I know are of particular concern to the Commission, the IEB is not aware of any instances of underage consuming alcohol on the gaming floor during the review period, and PPC does not offer service between the 2 to 4 a.m. window, and it also does not offer bottle service, so there have been no instances of non-compliance related to those issues. To date, the IEB has not issued any fines or suspensions of PPC related to alcohol service. However, we stand ready to address any non-compliance. The Chief Enforcement Counsel's office will continue to work closely with the GEU, the gaming agents, PPC, and the ABCC, and we maintain open lines of communication with all those parties. To conclude, I would just like to thank the PPC team for their cooperation and continued communication, and our goal is and will continue to be compliance. At this point, I'll turn it back to Dave for the rest of his presentation, unless there are any questions that the Commission wants to address. I'm not sure how you want to do it, Chair, with respect to questions, if you want us to wait till the end, or if there's anything specific to non-compliance.
Yeah, legal has drafted it up to wait till the end, but I'm perfectly fine with allowing, if the commissioners have any specific questions to what Kathleen just raised, I'm perfectly fine doing that if they want to do it now or hold till the end.
So I can just ask one, Kathleen, which I take it from your recitation that you don't have any issues in terms of any past noncompliance with the reissuance of the liquor license. Is that a fair statement?
That is fair.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Brien. Any other questions at this point? That was my question too, Commissioner O'Brien. You may
Okay, I'll turn
continue.
it back to Dave then. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. So I did want to highlight MGC did perform an on-site inspection at Plain Ridge Park Casino as part of this renewal process. This inspection was jointly performed by the Division of Licensing and the IEB on May 2nd. Myself, Division Chief Kara O'Brien, Licensing Intake Officer Lisa Bruckner, Casino Regulatory Manager Eric Cantel, and Gaming Agents Chief Bert Kane all represented MGC on this inspection. And at this time, I just wanted to quickly pause and thank all named for their contributions and hard work to this renewal process. Additionally, Matt Carey, Food and Beverages Director, Ron Robert, Beverage Manager, and Nicholas Insana, Beverage Manager for Plain Ridge Park Casino, also accompanied MGC on this inspection. Overall, the inspection confirms the information reported by the licensee and the license area applications appeared consistent as described. Further, appropriate storage facilities and camera coverage were also observed. Excuse me. In summation, we've received a completed application from the licensee, performed an inspection, received cooperation and responsiveness on all matters from the licensee, and considered compliance matters as previously summarized to you by Kathleen. As such, the licensing division recommends that the commission approve Plain Ridge Park Casino's renewal beverage license for another 3-year term. And at this time, I would conclude my remarks.
Thank you, Dave. We can now kick it back to Kara. Kara, is there anything else?
There is not anything else, no.
All right. So, commissioners, having heard the entire presentation now, do you have any questions for Ms. O'Brien or anyone from the IEB? I'm seeing none. All right. Does the petitioner have any questions for Ms. O'Brien or anyone in the IEB relative to this presentation?
We do not.
Thank you. All right, we will now turn the presentation over to PPC. North, please proceed with any comments or presentation you would like to make.
I don't have any presentation to make at this time. I would say just that we do take the responsible service of alcohol very seriously at the property. It is part of our responsible gaming plan. We understand the role that that plays in responsible gaming, and so we remain committed to being compliant.
I'm assuming you're resting with that.
We are.
All right. Do any commissioners have any question for any of the presenters relative to PPC's presentation, or are there any other individuals we would like to hear from before we deliberate? I'm seeing none. Does the IEB have any questions for the licensee relative to the presentation or contents of the application in general before we move forward?
We do not.
Okay, seeing none. Now that we have heard all the evidence in this matter, before we move to closing remarks, I'd like to turn to my fellow commissioners once again to make sure that there are no further sensitive or confidential issues anybody would like to explore that would benefit from closing the proceeding to the public under our regulations. Commissioners? Seeing none across the board, we will now turn to closing remarks. Each of the parties will be afforded an opportunity to make a statement summing up their position, though they need not do so. Mr. Groundsel, would you like to proceed with any remarks?
I'll just say that I wanted to appreciate the time that the staff spent preparing us for this on the IEB side, and GEU also recognizing the efforts of the people on site who make sure that the policies and procedures that we've established are enforced on a daily basis. Their diligence is appreciated. And on that and the evidence presented will rest.
Thank you. Ms. O'Brien, anything to add?
We do not have anything to add at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Unless there are any further matters that the parties or my fellow commissioners would like to address, we will now conclude this portion of the proceeding. Does anyone have anything further? I'm seeing none. The commission will now deliberate about the matter in private. Commissioners, we will have to end this virtual meeting and enter the other virtual room for private deliberation.